Yeah, headliners. There's a lot of people know about the fantasy headliners. Nation. Headliner nation. Fantasy headliners for the nation. I'm a headliner. I'm a headliner.
Yo. Analytics off the chain, all the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. Y'all stuck on third down. Your content's plain Jane. Headliners on top now. We gonna move and change. Podcast off the rip. Draft guide, so legit. Fantasy world, our game tight. You know we about that chub life. Stuck in a rut and you need some motivation. Head to the channel for this Headliner Nation.
I'm a headliner. I'm a headliner. I'm a headliner. I'm a headliner. I'm a headliner.
What is going on, Headliner Nation? It's a beautiful Thursday morning. Hopefully everyone's doing well out there today. Going to be talking some NFL playoffs, some prize picks here in the show today. Casey's already making a mess in his car. That didn't take long, Casey. Not at all. Then again, I guess I'm not entirely surprised, right? I'm not entirely surprised. What's going on, everybody? How we doing? How we doing today? Wait a few minutes, let everybody get in here, see what's going on in the chat. Talking with some people. I see Timo out there for sure. Terry Hudak out there in this chat today. Whew. There's a reason that, I don't know if you guys saw it a couple days ago, Kyle did like a day in the life of a content creator short. There's a reason why I don't do one of those, because half of it would be empty because, full disclosure, I woke up at noon today. But I didn't go to bed till like almost 3 o'clock last night. So, there is a reason behind it. How's everybody out there doing? That's exactly right, Casey. I'm not surprised about that either. Who's ready to talk some prize picks today? Anybody ready to talk some prize picks? I have never claimed to be a professional player prop person, but we've had a pretty good year, right? We've had a pretty good year overall. So hopefully we can find ourselves some winners. I don't know about you guys, but if you play player props a lot, do you realize that the playoffs are just so much different, more different than the regular season? Everything just changes in the playoffs. So, I mean, there's times where you have teams going for it more often, so you can't really rely on field goal kickers. It's cold. There's winter weather for some games, so it's another reason. It just really plays around with things differently than it does in the regular season for sure. Andrew, teleworking today, but not getting much done so far. I mean, I can't hate you for it. You know what I mean? I would probably be doing the same thing if I'm being entirely honest, right? So let me put this back up here so people can see it, because we're going to be talking about prize picks. If you have not signed up for a prize picks account yet, maybe you've been living under a rock, maybe you just haven't, really known what to do, this is going to be the perfect weekend to do it, and I'm going to tell you why. There is a free square play this week. So, obviously with prize picks, you need to have at least 2 picks in order to have them hit to win money, right? But one of the picks this week is going to be free. It's a free square, so you really only got to get one right to win some money. So if you haven't signed up for a new account yet, make sure you do so using referral code Headliners. That'll greatly help us out here on the channel. And then we can have some fun together. We'll match your deposit up to $100 as well. You can only put $20 max on a free square, but you can still go out there and triple your money if you get one other right. So it's going to be a fun time. We're going to try to see what we can find here today. What's this chat saying here? All right, here. Let's get this show going. Headliner Nation, you better believe it. We're all in here. Zach, all 46 of us right now. Do I still have the Kittle ball? Nevermore. I responded to you on a video. No, we gave the Kittle ball away months ago in a giveaway. I want Prize Picks, but it's not allowed in Main Straight Pain. I need a guy. Michael, I hear that. I wish they were available everywhere, but obviously not. You have props, but can't parlay them. I got you, Tim. I low-key just fangirled there a little bit that you mentioned in my comment. Andrew, like, it's what we do. This is what we talk to the people here, okay? I mean, how about this? What's going on, Andrew? I just want to take a quick second out of my day just to tell you to have a great day. Looking forward to some football here this weekend. Maybe you want to hold something over one of your friends' heads. Now is the perfect time to do it because, Andrew, you are a huge part of this community here. Your friends, not so much, right? I haven't seen your friends in the chat, right? So as far as I'm concerned, you're my favorite Andrew now. I don't know if I know many Andrews, though. Probably not a whole lot. Yeah, James, he already placed some props from the videos this week. Yeah, see, everybody say hi to Andrew. Everybody welcome Andrew to Headliner Nation. Google just popped up and said, insert an ad now. How about no, Scott? All right, let me pull up Prize Picks here. Because I know that's what a lot of people want to talk about. We're going to spend... Oh, the streak continues. Darth Desmond. Out there gifting another membership, and it went to Michael Foss. Michael, congratulations on that. I do get pretty excited when talk about Nevermore 85. Yes, for sure. Awesome. All right, let me pull up Prize Picks. Let me make sure... Kyle always does this. This is not me. So let me make sure I'm doing this the right way. Let me transition over here. Can everybody still hear me all right? I'm pretty sure you should be able to. So here is the NFL. Let me pull it up here. Now here's the free square that you see right here off the bat. See, you got 77 hours, 22 minutes, and 46 seconds to get in on this deal where Joe Burrow only needs one passing yard. And you know he's going to get it. It's Joe Burr. It's Joe Shiesty. He's going to throw for a yard. So this is basically a free square play. So you definitely want to select Joe Burrow, and we're going more there because he's going to throw for more than one passing yard. But after that, things get a little bit interesting, right? And we're going to kind of go stat by stat here. I'm not going to take a lot of time on every single session because there's like 20 of them. But we're going to go through, and I'm going to kind of go through my process of what I do when I'm trying to find some of these picks. I don't want to overly gamble in the playoffs, right? Like I said, things are different. So we know we got Burrow. Let's pull up Brock Purdy here. 215.5. He didn't hit that against Dallas when he saw some of that pressure. You know he's going to get pressure once again. I do have the 49ers winning this ball game. But it really is going to, rely on a lot of yak yards, right? That's what Brock Purdy's going to thrive off of. It's the Deebo Samuels, the Brandon Ayuk's, the George Kittles. It's the yards after the catch. But at 215.5, a number that he hasn't hit now in 2 of his last 3 weeks, going up against a sturdy secondary in Philadelphia. As much as I like Brock Purdy, I'm probably not going to touch this prop this week. If I had to choose one, I would probably go the over, but not something that I'm overly interested in here just yet. When we talk about pairing quarterbacks, you got Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts at 456.5. So what are we looking at here? 250, 253, 254. Is that right? No. I suck at math. 225, 230 a piece, right? Just under 230 a piece. Is that, sustainable for these guys? For sure. Those are numbers that those guys could hit. I really expect this to be a defensive style matchup, though, so I'm really not going to take too many chances there with the passing game. You got 242 for Hurts. That's something he hasn't hit in 3 of his last 4 weeks. Going up against San Francisco, they can be had on the big play through the air, right? I mentioned in the playoff video this week that if San Francisco wants to win, they have to limit the big plays to A.J. Brown, to Devontae Smith, to Dallas Goedert, because you better believe it. Right now, I am probably feeling about as fancy as I can get, right? That's how fancy I'm feeling. So I don't know if I want to really tempt fate here with Hurts. If I had to guess, I would probably go the under, but I'm not going to probably take too many of these props, if I'm being honest, in the passing game here. What do we got next? How about we go Burrow and Mahomes, 542 and a half. Not really going to go this way either, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. Sure, all the reports are coming out that, Patrick Mahomes, he's not even a noticeable limp, even though he's got a high ankle sprain. He's just built different. For sure. I mean, I will 100% agree with that. But there's always that chance that one play is going to limit his production in this game to where he may have to come out. And I hate betting on players that come into games injured. So in a game in which Patrick Mahomes may be somewhat limited a little bit, maybe compared to what we're maybe used to, going up against a cocky and confident Cincinnati Bengals defense right now that's playing so well, if I had to, I would probably take the under here as well, but I'm probably not going to be betting on it just because I don't want to risk it with Patrick Mahomes. We're not worried about Joe Burrow. Why? Because he's the free square. Casey says, I look extra cute today. Casey, I appreciate you. You're my favorite, Casey, by the way. Patrick Mahomes at 270. I mean, he hasn't hit that number 3 of the last 4 games when healthy for the most part. Not going to risk it there with Patrick Mahomes and that injury. So that's going to do passing yards. Let's go over to rushing yards now. Any weather to consider, Kenny? Not really. It's going to be cold as balls in Kansas City, like 22 degrees at kickoff. But it's supposed to be clear skies. It's just going to be cold, right? Exactly, Tyler. All props with combined quarterback yards were under for Prize Picks last week. I believe that's true. I just don't like to take those types of risks where I'm having to bank on 2 guys either performing or underperforming. It kind of lowers my chances at getting one right. Brock Purdy, 8.5 rushing yards. Now, I know every once in a while Brock Purdy likes to do this little high step thing towards the sideline when he's trying to get a first down, when he scrambles outside the pocket. I'm not going to risk that going up against Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts at 44.5. Honestly, I don't mind this prop. I would probably take the over because I can expect some pressure getting to Jalen Hurts, him escaping the pocket, and maybe breaking off 1 or 2 bigger runs that could eclipse this 44.5. But probably not something that I would love to really be overly confident in. How about combined touchdowns? I don't mind the combined touchdowns. There's a few of them, all right? I'm not just going to pick random guys. I'm trying to find guys for the most part on the same team that are combined because it gives me a bigger chance when that team scores, it's going to be one of my players. If I choose one player from each team, I'm kind of limiting my overall chances because there's so many players in the mix, if that makes sense. Let's see here. Next, we got McCaffrey and Miles Sanders at 120.5. Nope, not touching that one. I'm thinking that one. If anything, I would kind of take the under on this one. If I'm being honest, if I had to choose it, I'd probably go the under. A very defensive-based matchup. 2 teams difficult to run on. Christian McCaffrey not only dealing with a calf issue, we've seen Elijah Mitchell a lot more here as of late, and they're really starting to utilize the shorter passing game, maybe with Debo. We've seen more George Kittle with Brock Purdy. Brandon Ayuk is always a big play waiting to happen as well. And don't forget about Juice, right? Juszczyk still out there. Christian McCaffrey, this one was in my video this week. I'm taking the under on Christian McCaffrey for the reasons that I just listed, right? He hasn't been 100% healthy. 3 of his last 5 games, he hasn't even broken 50 yards rushing. Now he's going up against a difficult Eagles defense that's going to be at home. It's going to be loud. If Philadelphia gets an early lead, they're going to be throwing more. So I actually took the under on Christian McCaffrey for this in the video earlier in the week. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and select that one right now so I don't forget about it. Miles Sanders, 51.5. If it was going against any other team, I would probably take the over. Going up against San Francisco, one of the most difficult teams in the NFL to run on, there's no way that I'm going to risk it and go the under, and go the over. When we're talking about the under, man, 51 yards, it doesn't sound like a lot, but that could easily be something that he could break off in 3 to 4 carries, and we've seen him do it before. I'm actually coming out with a video later in the week talking about players with big run potential. Miles Sanders had 9 runs of over 20 yards this year, so I don't know if I want to go the under there easy. It's something he could get pretty easy. James, we'll find out. You better believe it. If there is, we're going to take it. I appreciate you, Alkaline. I see you out there. Yeah, right, Tyler. He's just so unpredictable. Like, talent-wise, he could do it. The matchup, not loving it. Debo at 18.5. Really, because they're using more Elijah Mitchell, we're not seeing as much Debo in the backfield as we would really like to see. If they are, they're putting him in motion at times and really kind of utilizing him in like the short passing game, more so than just getting carries on the ground. We're not seeing as much as we've seen consistently in years past, so I'm not going to touch Debo here. Kenneth Gainwell, 9.5 yards rushing. Now, honestly, I would take the over here, if I'm being completely honest, but I have another Kenneth Gainwell prop a little bit later that I like a little bit more. So I don't mind the over here of Kenneth Gainwell, 9.5 yards. That's definitely something I think he can attain. He absolutely went off against the Giants last week. Do I expect that type of production against San Francisco? Hell no. But he still is definitely somebody that could attain this prop. Like I said, there's one later with him that I have a little bit more. And you can only choose each player one time, right? So I can't have multiple Kenneth Gainwell props in my same pick. So it really all just depends if you kind of want to mix and match here. Yeah, where are all the likes at, Casey? Tell them. Joe Burr, 17.5. I don't hate this one whatsoever. I mean, Joe Shiesty's shown that he can scramble outside the pocket and pick up the first down. I have a feeling that this game could be closer in the second half, and they're going to be reliant on maybe one of those third downs where he's going to have to scramble for the first down. If this was sitting somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 yards, I would probably feel a little bit better. 17.5 is a little bit high for me. We saw him hit it against Buffalo, but that was the first time in the last 5 weeks that he's done it, so not doing that. Lorenzo, that's exactly where I'm going later. Lorenzo's been doing some homework. That's exactly right. Nixon and Pacheco, 107.5. If I had to choose one on this, it would be the over. But like I said, I'm not a huge fan of these type of picks, picking one guy from each team. Joe Mixon at 56.5. He looked pretty good against Buffalo, but most importantly, he finally got touches, right? Like, that's what we need is volume. He's never been an overly efficient guy. He's going to have to get volume. Can he do that against Kansas City? I think that he can. I actually don't mind the over of Joe Mixon at 56.5. I don't think he has a huge game, but I could see him having a game similar to what we saw Christmas Eve against New England, about 65 yards or so. And that's definitely something that I think he can attain in this game this week, being that Samaje Perine's still involved. So 56.5 yards, I wouldn't mind the over in that one. Isaiah Pacheco at 47.5. Man, that Cincinnati defense is just playing so well right now. But we know Isaiah Pacheco's getting the touches on the ground. The passing work going the way of Jerick McKinnon, right? So Isaiah Pacheco's going to see right around 15 carries or so, maybe 13 to 15 carries. Is that enough for him to hit 47.5 yards? It kind of has been, right? Let me go back here on my side. Let me look up Isaiah Pacheco. So let's see. Last week, 12 carries, 95 yards, 1 catch for 6 against Jacksonville. Over the last 2 games, the dude's averaging 8 yards per carry. Now, that is obviously not sustainable. However, when you look at his body of work the second half of the season, from week 11 on, he had 6 games where he averaged over 5 yards per carry. So, I mean, we're talking 5 yards per carry. He would only need right around 10 carries to get it. He's averaging more than 10 carries a game. I would probably be inclined, if I wanted to bet on Isaiah Pacheco, to go the over on Isaiah Pacheco. Oh, it's all good, Casey. We'll blame it on your wife. Jerick McKinnon, 25.5 rushing yards. I would go the under on Jerick McKinnon. They're not using him in the backfield much anymore. If they are, it's in the passing game. It's not so much running the football. Isaiah Pacheco has just been running so well, they don't really need him to. Right? So that's kind of why I'm going the under. You can see, as of late, 3 of his last 4 games haven't even resulted in 10 rushing yards. So I'm going the under right here on Jerick McKinnon when it comes to rushing yards. Rushing yards. Make sure you see the rushing yards. Samaje Perine, 16.5. I don't hate this with the amount of work that he keeps getting. 16.5 is definitely attainable. Is Samaje Perine somebody that I kind of want to risk some money on? Not really. I mean, he only had 7 carries last week, turned it into 33 yards, 4.7 yards per carry. If he gets 7 carries again, more than likely he'll probably hit the over in this, and that's where I feel more comfortable is the over. but the guy's just a little bit more involved in the passing game, right? 5 targets, 5 receptions, 31 yards last week. Sure, he'll get the occasional carry on the ground. Not somebody that I feel overly confident in, but if you wanted to bet on Samaje Perine, I feel a little bit better about the over right there. Let's go to receiving yards now. Oh, see, now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. What up, Lit Nick? I see you out there, Nick. Yep, GDLT says Pacheco over as well. How we doing? Dude, we lit up in here. You better believe it, Casey. All 65 of us in here, just hanging out for the afternoon on a Thursday. All right, so there's not going to be any stats for any of these because they're mixed in here. I'll tell you how I handle these things. I kind of briefly mentioned it a little bit before. I do not like picking these for guys that are on the same, or that are on different teams, for the most part. Now, touchdowns, I want the same team. For receiving yards, it's a little bit different, right? Because obviously you want the big name guys, right? The A.J. Browns and Brandon Ayuk. Could they get 115.5? I mean, A.J. Brown could get 115.5 by himself. But these picks are so hard to nail when it comes to mix and matching teams. What's going on, Mason? How we doing? He's out there cheering for the Chiefs. So yeah, I mean, I have a hard time trusting any of these types of picks that are picking a player from each team. Some of them look so great, like George Kittle and Dallas Goedert, 94.5. Love the lower totals. I'll admit I always love the lower totals, but I'm not sold that these guys could score 4 touchdowns this weekend, but they may not get 100 yards. You know what I mean? So that's what worries me about these. I try to avoid those whenever possible. We'll talk about that pairing, though, when we get to touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey, 32.5. Now, Christian McCaffrey, 32.5 over Philadelphia. I would definitely take the over if I wanted to bet on this. This is something he has not hit in 3 of his last 5 games played. And a lot of it has to do with the usage of Elijah Mitchell, and the guy's not 100%. I don't know if it's a shin, a calf. It's a lower leg injury that he's dealing with, and it's really limiting some of his potential upside each and every week, right? They're using Elijah Mitchell a little bit more, and since they've started to do that, we've seen some of the big plays, the efficiencies from Christian McCaffrey kind of dwindle a little bit. So 32.5 yards, not a whole lot. Definitely something he could get in one touch. More than likely, though, I'm probably not gonna touch Christian McCaffrey this week. Miles Sanders, 6.5 receiving yards. Look at Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders has negative receiving yards over the last 5 weeks combined. I didn't even know that was possible. Now, what is that? He has -7 rushing yards over his receiving yards over his last 5 total games. Now, to me, this seems like a smash under, right? Like, we should probably take the under, or is it a trap? Now, they're going up against San Francisco. We know he's not going to have a whole lot of room to run, but Kenneth Gainwell's kind of been the guy a little bit more. Some Boston Scott kind of sprinkled in a little bit. I mean, Miles Sanders at only 6.5 yards. The part that worries me is this is just one play, everyone. This is just one play. One reception for 7 yards, and you're sunk. You know what I mean? So that's why these type of bets worry me. If I had to choose one, I would probably still go the under, but I wouldn't put a lot on it. Brandon Ayuk at 44.5. Love me some Brandon Ayuk. I'm going to love Brandon Ayuk next year as well. 44.5, not that bad of an over-under here. If it's me, I'm going the over against Philadelphia. I think a lot of the defensive attention is going to have to go the way of George Kittle and Deebo Samuel, and then Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. Brandon Ayuk could be the guy that could rack up some receptions. He may not get huge plays out of them, but if he goes out there and gets 4 receptions for 45 yards, we're happy, right? So I would take the over on Brandon Ayuk here in a prize pick. A.J. Brown, I don't know what it is. I gotta be honest. It's just a gut feeling. I have a feeling A.J. Brown probably going to go off in this game. Now, 69.5 yards is a number he's hit 4 of the last 5 weeks. And they're going to need, and if I know this, sitting in my office in North Carolina, I know that the Eagles know this. In order for them to greatly improve their chances at winning this ball game, they need A.J. Brown this week. They just do. They maybe don't need him to go out there and have 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, but they need A.J. Brown to be a presence on the field. They have to. Otherwise, that pass rush is going to get to Jalen Hurts. It's going to create havoc. They're not going to be able to run. They're going to have to try to open it up in the passing game. I love A.J. Brown this week, but it is a gamble, right? Nick has also pointed out the fact that it's set at 69. Nice, right? I do too, Lorenzo. I think they're just going to have to kind of force it to him, right? So if it's me, I'm going the over on A.J. Brown, 69.5. I don't know if it's going to be a huge game, but like you said, I think that they have to force feed him the ball. He needs to be a presence in this game. So yeah, I would go the over on A.J. Brown. Deebo Samuel set at 49.5. Not touching Deebo, probably with anything, right? Maybe a touchdown bet if he's in there, depend who he's paired with or whatever, but I'm not messing with Deebo. His usage and efficiencies are all over the board, right? He's either highly involved or not involved at all. 49.5 is a number he's only hit twice out of his last 5 games. Not touching that one. Devontae Smith, I love as well. His total is just a little bit high. Like I said, I expect a little bit more A.J. Brown. I don't know if both of these guys are going to go the hell off. If it's going to be 2 guys, I would expect it to be 1 receiver and Dallas Goedert, more than I would think it would be both receivers. So Devontae Smith, if I'm loving A.J. Brown, more than likely I'm not going to also go the over with Devontae Smith in what could be a defensive matchup. If you're worried about A.J. Brown, I don't mind the over of Devontae Smith. It's just going to be a little bit more riskier than I guess the A.J. Brown one will be. George Kittle at 45.5. Love me some George Kittle. Is it just me? I don't know if there's a player in the NFL that I enjoy watching play more than George Kittle. What do you guys think? What you guys like watching George Kittle play? I do. He is so much fun to watch play. But 45.5, that's definitely a number that is attainable, right? 95 yards against Dallas. I'm going for $120 against the Washington Commandos. I don't have that warm fuzzy here for George Kittle. If I had to choose one, I'm probably leaning towards the over. But it really could go either way. I think he's right there. I think that's a great line for him at 45.5. He's going to be hovering right around there. Dallas Goedert. I mean, obviously you guys can tell by, the video so far. I love the potential of the weapons in the passing game for Philadelphia because they're going to have to be something, right? They're going to have to show up if they want to win this game. Dallas Goedert's hit this number in 3 of the last 4 games played, twice against the New York Giants, once against Dallas, going up against San Francisco. The thing that I love about Dallas Goedert is the dude is an absolute freak of nature when it comes to yards after the catch. We talked about him, I believe it was this offseason, about how his efficiencies are so high, there's no way that this dude can possibly sustain what he's done. Like last year, he averaged almost 15 yards per catch. That's huge for a tight end. This year, still the second highest in his career at 12.8. The guy finds a way to make yards happen after he gets the ball in his hands. Let me see if I can find his yak yardage here. All right, here we go. So last year, he averaged, this is what's crazy. I believe this was number 1 in the league in 2021. He averaged 6.9, where you at, Lit Nick? 6.9 yards after the catch per reception in 2021. And I believe that was the highest among all tight ends. And we talked about how that efficiency, that explosive, how can you do that? How can you duplicate that? The dude averaged 7.6 yards after the catch per reception this year. He improved by 0.7 yards. When the guy gets the ball, he does things with it. And that's why I love overs a lot for Dallas Goedert. He's definitely somebody that I want those yak guys, right? I want that guy that may only get 4 receptions, but he's got that ability to bust one for 15, 18, 22, 28 yards, right? And that's what Dallas Goedert can do. I honestly don't hate Dallas Goedert. If you're looking for an over, Dallas Goedert may be somewhat slightly safer than maybe like a Devontae Smith that we were talking about before. Here's Juwan Jennings. I think I saw somebody in the chat ask about him earlier. His is set at 20.5. I have probably selected Juwan Jennings maybe more than almost anyone else on Prize Picks this year. For whatever reason, everybody always forgets about Juwan Jennings. And if the Philadelphia defense is trying to take away the big play guys, right? The Debos, the McCaffreys, the Kittles, Juwan Jennings is somebody who consistently gets an opportunity and consistently puts up low end but solid and consistent numbers for the most part. Let me pull up his stuff here. Juwan Jennings. Let me see here. So he has had, even just last game, only had 2 receptions on 2 targets for 26 yards. That still would have hit the over for what he's currently set at 20.5. So for the last 5 games, he's averaged, over the last 5 games, he's averaged 28.8, hit over 20.5 in 4 of his last 5, and is going to be the unsung guy in this offense that could really only need 2 receptions to eclipse this number. I don't hate this whatsoever. He's not somebody who's going to get a lot of volume. He hasn't had, he's only had over 3 targets one time since the middle of December, right? Since December 15th. He's only had over 5 targets twice. In fact, he's never had over 5 targets, at least not since Thanksgiving. 11-27, week 12, he had 7 targets. His only other game with more than 5 targets came week 1 with 6. So the guy's hovering right in that 2, 3, 4 target range, but he's bringing in the balls that he's getting, right? I mean, he's not letting, he's taking the most, taking advantage with what he's getting. So Juwan Jennings, I take the over on Juwan Jennings all the time. He's definitely somebody with these low, over-unders that can pick it up in just 2 catches. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Quez Watkins, not going to touch Quez Watkins. Here's the Kenneth Gainwell one that I liked before when I said I didn't want to touch his rushing, because look at the receiving. It's only 6.5 yards as well. He's hit it in 5 straight games. I don't expect there to be a lot of running room against San Francisco, which means they're going to have to utilize the short passing game, which could definitely be Kenneth Gainwell, and he only needs 7 yards. So Kenneth Gainwell, the over here, is where I was going with Kenneth Gainwell. Jamar Chase and Juju, 132. Nope, Juju's too inconsistent for me to trust that. Jamar Chase and Kadarius Toney. Nope, not trusting these guys. No, I'm not even considering these guys. I don't want any of those pairings. Joe Mixon, 22.5 receiving yards. It looked like Joe Mixon was going to start being a monster in the pass-catching game, right? What was it, like 3 weeks ago against Baltimore? I mean, he had 3 straight games back then where he was just literally getting the pass-catching work, but now all of a sudden it's gone back the way of Samaje Perine. We mentioned him earlier. Remember where he had 5 targets, 5 receptions, I believe, last week? Let's see what Mixon has been doing. Let me look up Mixon here. So over the last 2 weeks against Baltimore and Buffalo, had 4 targets against Baltimore, 3 against Buffalo. A total of, you see right there, 17 and 18 yards. Probably not a prop I'm taking right here. I don't know if we're going to have to utilize Joe Mixon in the receiving game as much. I prefer him rushing more than receiving. Jerick McKinnon, I mentioned it in my video. And who can tell me what I said? Who can tell me in the chat what I said about Jerick McKinnon in my playoff preview video? There was 2 guys that were the keys to success for the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 guys. Can anybody name who those 2 guys were that I mentioned in that video? I'm going to sit here for a second. I'm going to get a drink. What up, Skeptic? Where are we at? The short game with him and Tony. Taif. Man, round of applause in the chat. Is it Taif? Taif? Hopefully I pronounced that right. For sure. It's the short game with Jerick McKinnon and Kadarius Toney. Those 2 could be the X factor. That's what they need in this game, right? Patrick Mahomes on a high ankle sprain. I don't care how healthy he is. He's still going to be he's not going to be 100% on that high ankle sprain. With the pass rush that we've seen of Cincinnati here as of late, not to mention their secondary playing great, allowing routes not to develop down the field, they're going to have to check the ball down at times and get it in the hands of their playmakers. Jerick McKinnon carried them, second half of the season. We haven't seen him for 2 weeks now in the receiving game. That makes no damn sense. Kadarius Toney, who I believe will be up here in a second. I think he's on here too. I don't remember for sure. They're going to have to be involved. Now, they may not have a huge ADOT. They may not be, long targets down the field, but these guys need to be involved in the short to underneath game, and we've already seen Jerick McKinnon, and we know about Kadarius Toney, their ability for those yak yards once again and doing something after the catch. This is a pretty high number, given the fact that he's put up back-to-back goose eggs. And I think that this number is still high because a lot of people, not just myself, Prize Picks included, probably expects Jerick McKinnon to have to be involved in this game in order for them to be, I don't want to say competitive because it's the Chiefs. In order for them to have a good chance at winning, Jerick McKinnon needs to be a part of the offense. That's right. You were right. I appreciate you, Taif. So this one is a gamble, right? This is one of those gambles. I would take the over on Jerick McKinnon. Jamar Chase at 84.5. He's only hit it one time out of his last 5 games. I don't like to go over on Cincinnati wide receivers very often because between him, Higgins, and Boyd, any one of them can have a huge game and take away the ceiling from the other. So I really don't focus on individual receivers from Cincinnati unless the line is just ridiculously crazy. Travis Kelce at 76.5. I feel like what happened when Mahomes got injured last week. Does anybody remember? When he came back in, dude was like laser locked on Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce was the offense last week, right? Travis Kelce was the guy. How many targets did that dude? 17 targets, 14 receptions. This is a difficult matchup for him. This is going to be a more difficult matchup for him this week than it was last week against Jacksonville. Granted. But honestly, if anyone's going to hit the over, Travis Kelce at 76.5 would probably get my bet a little bit more than some of the others. The guy he's going to be peppered with targets. And he's not somebody that gets a 5-yard slant. Majority of his receptions, his average yardage per reception is, let me see for the year, 12.2. So the guy's getting the ball down the field. We've seen him make big plays. We've seen him break tackles. I don't mind the over this week of Travis Kelce. I expect Cincinnati to get an early lead, which means Kansas City's going to have to throw. Option 1A, 1B is probably Travis Kelce. That's right. That's a whole nother level of a safety blanket, right? That's like a safety blanket with skill, right? A lot of times safety blankets are just meant to move the chains. Travis Kelce is just a freak of nature. T. Higgins at 54.5. Like I said, not touching the Cincinnati wide receivers for the most part. T. Higgins kind of really hasn't been much a part of the game plan. They haven't really needed him, right? It's been enough with Hayden Hurst stepping up has been the big surprise there. Juju at 44.5. Haven't really seen Juju return to form since he got concussed mid-season. Ever since then, it's really just been the Travis Kelce show for the most part, really spreading the ball around. Tyler Boyd at 32.5 is a lower number. I don't mind that number, but I don't, with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and now the emergence of Hayden Hurst as well, I'm not going to risk it there with Tyler Boyd. Just doesn't see enough consistent volume. Here's Kadarius Toney. He's sitting at 34.5. He's hit that 2 of the last 3 weeks. And like I said, he was one of my keys to the Chiefs having a chance in this ball game. And this one really comes down to Yak because he ain't getting the ball down the field at all. He's getting it like 5 yards off the line of scrimmage and trying to make a play happen at best. So Kadarius Toney, 34.5, a little bit high. But honestly, if you wanted to gamble, Kadarius Toney's over is where I would go. I'm not trusting MVS. 27 yards could be one catch for MVS. The problem, he plays football with oven mitts on his hands and drops a lot. So I don't want to deal with that. Isaiah Pacheco, 6.5 receiving yards. I mean, that's not that much, but if I had to choose, I'm still going with Jerick McKinnon over Pacheco. P. Ryan at 13.5. Interesting here, being that he had 5 targets last week. Do we see him anywhere near that number? Because if he gets 5 targets, 5 receptions, he's obliterating 13.5, right? He's probably more in that ballpark of 30 like we saw last week. but his targets aren't consistent, right? We can't bank on 5 targets a game. If he gets only 2 or 3, is it going to be enough even if he hauls both of them in? Let me see here. Let me go back to Samaje. Samaje Perine. There he is. He's only had 5 targets one time in the last 5 weeks. Prior to that, it's when Mixon was hurt and he was getting more work. But with Mixon back, we had 3 of the last 5 games with only 1 target. I can't do that. I just can't. How is Kyle's hair coming in? Opacity, I really don't look at his head very often. I try to look the other way whenever he's on camera, if you know what I mean. I'm just kidding. He's coming back from vacation today. He should be back tomorrow. Let's see here. Noah Gray. Now we're getting... Okay. Let me transition this back for a second. We're getting to a section here at times where Jakey likey. Okay? I love low-end props. Love them. We'll see some maybe when we get to fantasy score. But with some of these guys, I just love these low-end props. Now, I'm not saying that Noah Gray is that dude, but I love these ones where we can get somebody who's a pass-catching option in an offense for under 15 yards. I just like it. I just like it. I love the prize pick stuff, perhaps members-only version next season. We'll have to see on that, J-Noise. We'll see. But I love those shorter yards. Do I really want to bank on Noah Gray? I do think that he has he's one of those guys, right? He's going to get you 2 or 3 catches a game. He's going to move the chains. Not going to really impact the game much, but is going to give you an opportunity to hit the over here. If I wanted to bet on Noah Gray, I would go the over. Hayden Hurst at 32.5. Dude been a big part of this offense here the last few weeks. And he really seems like one of the emotional leaders. It seems like when they get Hayden Hurst going and he starts getting a little bit excited, the entire offense kind of just steps up as a whole. So 32.5 for Hayden Hurst. I don't mind the over there either. Trenton Irwin, 7.5. See, this is what I'm talking about. I'm loving these short, little itty-bitty bets. I love those. Let me see here. Trenton Irwin. 7.5 receiving yards. He's hit it in 4 of the last 5 games played. But he's only getting right around 2 or 3 targets a game. Like, that's about it. Like, that's it. But he's got to make something happen. The good part about it is, over his last 3 games played, he's averaging just over 13 yards per reception. So the guy can get 7.5 in just 1 catch. I like to put together a lot of these prize picks with a bunch of these little short bets in here and go the overs for all of them, because really all I'm looking for is 1 catch. So I would take the over on Trenton Irwin. All right. Are we taking too long here? I feel like I've been talking forever. Is anybody even enjoying what we're doing right now? Who's having fun out there? Anybody like talking about prize picks and prop bets? I won't go into too much depth here with receptions. We can scroll through them. I don't touch reception totals very often. I don't. I try to stay away unless the line is just... Anthony, seems good. I'll let you know if I like it after they play. For sure, right? And I hope we all win a ton of money this weekend, for sure. I'll feel bad if we don't, but that's just part of it. If I never got any wrong, I'd probably be owning a private island somewhere. But anyway, back to reception totals. I don't do a whole lot of reception totals unless it's something small, right? I'm looking for like a 1.5, right? Because I don't want to do 2, because if in order to get 2, I really need 3. Otherwise, if you get 2, you're just going to push it, and it's going to drop you down a tier for your prize money. So I don't like even numbers. Right, I want to see it, or whole numbers. I want to see the 0.5s if I'm going to do it. And I'm trying to find something small, right? Do I want to bank on 5 receptions for these guys? Not really, right? 4 for Ayuk is probably about as close as I would get to an over. I just, reception totals are so hard to peg when you're talking about prize picks here that, I'm looking for the 0.5s and low totals, and there's just not a whole lot on the slate right now. Basically, anytime touchdowns, McCaffrey or Mixon, I like the Mixon one. Actually, honestly, McCaffrey may not be racking up a ton of yards, but dude is definitely finding ways to score touchdowns. And they're not only just looking for him to run between the tackles, they're giving him the chance out of the backfield as well. So for a pass rush receiving touchdown, who remembers what Christian McCaffrey did in one of his very first games against San Francisco? Does anybody remember? I mean, I can see Kyle Shanahan getting a little tricky this week and kind of utilizing McCaffrey in some kind of a trick play where maybe he throws again. Now, I'm not saying I want to bank on that whatsoever. But the fact that the pass rush receiving touchdown is in play, honestly, I don't hate either one of these guys as an anytime touchdown scorer this weekend. Kendall, what up, Jake? Don't forget that PrizePicks does flex Fridays, and you may be able to get more bang for sure. I mean, that'll come out tomorrow with whatever it may be. A lot of it, though, with the free square with Joe Burrow, I don't know if it's going to be an NFL prop or if it'll be an NBA one. So that's just something we need to pay attention to. Passing touchdowns. You got Purdy and Hurts, so they would need 4. You got Hurts at 2 by himself. Burrow, Mahomes at 4, so they would need 5. And Burrow would need 3. I'm probably staying away. With Mahomes and the injury, there's a reason that Mahomes isn't up here by himself, right? There's still some concern there. Sure, you can go through Twitter and how he's 100% healthy, and I see the practice clips. It's going to be different when it's game speed and the Bengals defense is bearing down on him. How much mobility does he have? So I'm not going to touch anything with Patrick Mahomes this week, if I'm being completely honest. Hurts to throw 2 touchdowns. I don't hate that. The problem with the Hurts touchdowns is I can also see him throwing for 1 touchdown and rushing for 2 and missing on this prop. So I don't know if I want to touch Jalen Hurts when it comes to passing touchdowns. Burrow needing 3, I think he can do it, but I'm more of a guy that plays around the 2 mark than I am the 3 mark, so I'm going to pass on these guys. Punting, honestly, I do zero punter research, if I'm being completely honest. I don't pay attention to punters. This is going to be a defensive matchup, though, between Philadelphia and San Francisco. It could lead to a little bit more punting than what we're used to, right? I mean, wow, look at Tommy Townsend, Cincinnati, of Kansas City, going up against Cincinnati. He's had at least 4 punts now in 5 straight games. So I guess if I was going to bet on a punter, Tommy Townsend could be it, especially if there is some limitations to Mahomes. We could see him punting 4 times. Mitch Wishnowsky, which is so much fun to say. I think he was in, what was that movie? Monsters Inc., right? Wasn't he in that movie? Something like that. Let's see. So using Burrow, adding 1 more. What do you think is a good lock? I mean, we're talking about him in here. I mean, I'm trying. I don't know if there's going to be another lock, right? Yet, but Mitch Wishnowsky. I mean, obviously they don't punt a whole lot in San Francisco because more times than not they're kicking field goals or scoring touchdowns. Field goals made, Robbie Gould. I don't mind Robbie Gould. I'll never do anything other than 1.5. I don't know if anybody else is over that. No, they're all 1.5. In a game like this, honestly, I don't dislike any of these guys for the most part this weekend. Like I said, a defensive battle. Once they get to a shorter field, the defense has less field to cover. I can see some of these guys getting stalled inside the red zone and having to kick field goals. If I had to rely on a little bit more, I would probably feel a little bit safer with a Harrison Butker and a Robbie Gould than I would anybody else. Those are the 2 that I'd feel a little bit more comfortable with. I mean, look at Robbie Gould. 4 field goals over the last 2 weeks. So he only needs 2 for this to hit. So Robbie Gould would probably be the guy that I would go with here. Kicking points. Something I do with kicking points, and maybe it's just me for no apparent reason, but if they're setting the overs, which is basically like a 7, needing 7 kicking points, I mean, that's basically what, 2 field goals and an extra point. If they're kind of banking on 2 field goals and an extra point, I feel like that's what makes these bets a little bit safer. Safer. I'm doing quotation fingers. You can't see it. A little bit safer, right? Because, I mean, obviously they're setting lines where they're trying to win money, right? I mean, the house is going to win more times than not. That's just the way that gambling works. But I mean, if they're expecting a little bit more scoring, if these numbers were like 5.5, then all of a sudden I'm a little bit more worried because, man, they're not even expecting 2 field goals, right? So being that these are all 6.5, 7, it makes me feel a little bit better, especially about the Gould and Butker, especially Butker at 7. They're expecting 7 kicking points. 2 field goals for sure is in play for Harrison Butker. Fantasy score. Some of you can only do fantasy score. I don't know why it's different for some states than others when it comes to this, but it is what it is, I guess. The first thing I always do when I get to fantasy score is I scroll, and I believe, was it James that said earlier? He knows what I'm looking for. Once I get to fantasy points, and there's none yet, but there will be on game day. I'm telling you, if you wake up Sunday morning, hang on, we got to make eye contact for this one. If you wake up Sunday morning, maybe even Saturday night, there are going to be prop bets in here for guys that are set at a half a fantasy point. They're going to probably be guys you haven't heard of, but they're guys that continually, week after week, get you that fantasy. They need 1 catch. They need 6 yards. Whatever it is, it's a full PPR scoring and prize pick. So if it's a pass catching player and their prop is set at 0.5 and it's been like that every week for a long time, I'm always taking the over. Those guys are always in some of my picks, and I have hit probably 90 to 95% of them. So definitely look at that. They don't have anybody up there yet, but they will on Sunday. All right, let me pull this up. Purdy at 15. Obviously, when you score 2 touchdowns, it's going to make it easier, but just so you know, this is 4 points per touchdown, not 6. So it does make it a little bit more difficult for him to hit. He would need, what is that? Say he'd need 2 touchdowns, that's 8. That'll give him 7 more points, 7. He need 150 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Eagles in order to hit this number. Does he get 175 yards and a touchdown? You know what I mean? That's where I can kind of see it, so I'm not going to touch that. Jalen Hurts has the rushing upside, which definitely helps, but I'm not risking it against San Francisco. Christian McCaffrey at 17.5. Remember, it is a full PPR scoring, so this is attainable. Obviously, we've seen him hit it 3 of the last 4 weeks. Going up against Philadelphia, they're going to need McCaffrey. We've talked about the injuries before. 8.5 for Miles Sanders. Man, if they could honestly commit to this guy, I would be pumped up about that number. But he doesn't get any pass catching work. Remember, we saw that earlier. Dude has negative 6 yards over the last 5 weeks combined. So the pass catching work isn't going to help him, which means he basically needs either a touchdown or he needs 86 yards rushing. Do we see that happening against San Francisco? More than likely not. Brandon Ayuk at 10.5. Could Brandon Ayuk go out there and get you 5 catches for 56 yards? If you think that that's attainable, he would beat this, right? That'd be 10.6 fantasy points. So I think Brandon Ayuk over 10.5 is a possibility as an over. A.J. Brown at 14.5. We mentioned him earlier, right? Going to have to be involved. 14.5 is a pretty big number. 6 for a touchdown if we think he's going to score. So that gives us, 8.5. So, if this dude scores a touchdown, he'll obliterate the over if he can score a touchdown. Not a given, though. That's not a lock by any means. Debo at 13. Debo should be able to eclipse 13, but the way that his usage has been, I don't trust it. Devontae Smith at 14.5. That's interesting. He's 14.5. What was? Devontae Smith is the exact same score as A.J. Brown. They're both not going to hit it, I don't believe. George Kittle at 10.5. This is where those touchdowns come in, right? He keeps scoring touchdowns. He would only need 2 catches for 20 yards. 2 catches for 21 yards and a touchdown. Right? 2 catches is 2 points. 21 yards is 2.1, so that's 4.1. He'd need 26 yards. But still, very attainable for George Kittle in a matchup like this if he scores the touchdown. Don't expect him to get a high yardage total. Dallas Goedert, because yes, I'm still feeling pretty fancy. Is at 11. Not touching Quez Watkins, even though his fantasy score is 2.5. Yes, he's hit it 4 of the last 5 weeks, but barely, right? We haven't seen much Quez Watkins. Boston Scott at 2. I don't hate Boston Scott at 2. I don't hate Boston. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let me look at his touches here as of late. So Boston Scott has officially not had one target since week 14. Oh, I lied. He had one in week 17. He has one target over his last 5 weeks. So if we're going to score it, we're going to get it on the ground, right? So that means he needs 21 yards rushing. He's eclipsed that in back-to-back games. He's had a total of 15 carries in 2 games against the Giants, one of which was an out-of-hand game, right, where they were up by big points. So can I say he's going to get six carries? If he gets 6 carries, 6 carries at 4 yards per carry puts him at, 24 yards total? I'd put him at 2.4 for a fantasy score. I think that's a possibility. Do I want to call it a lock? No, but the over on Boston Scott is very intriguing for sure. It would be, like you said, Tyler, it'd be great if he could get some work. He hasn't caught a pass since week 14. He's only caught in 5 passes all year. So we're needing 6 carries at 4 yards per carry in order to feel pretty good about this. It's not a lock, right? But I don't mind it. It's a possibility. It's going to be tough against San Francisco. But Kenneth Gainwell, fantasy score of 4. Pass catching work could be there too. I don't hate this one for Kenneth Gainwell. Obviously, last week was somewhat of an outlier. He's not going to average that every single week, but it's still a number he's hit in 3 of the last 4 games played. If I had to choose, I would choose the over. Right, Anthony? Yeah, if he was playing the Giants again, he'd be a smash over. Giant killer, just scores touchdowns. Zach Pascal. No, dude hasn't had 2. Now, didn't we just look here and there was no 0.5s? Now all of a sudden there's a 0.5? I'll be damned. Okay, now here's the problem. Like I said, I always take the overs on these. Almost always. But it's got to be a dude that actually plays snaps. How many snaps is this guy even playing? He's struggling to hit 20 snaps a game. Has only had 1 target since Christmas. That's a problem, right? I did, Tyler, but usually every single time it's been somebody who's done something every single week. This dude ain't even... He played 19 snaps in week 18. He played 26% of the offensive snaps and didn't even get a target. That's a problem. I said yes, and maybe I need to go back and say not always. This is the first one I've seen a 0.5 where at least the guy wasn't involved every single week. What up, Doug? More than likely, I'll probably put together a 5-pick parlay type thing with Zach Pascal as an over, but I probably won't have it as a very high bid amount. But I always take overs on this. That's right, Darth. It's not 100%. It's just a 99. I'll probably still take the over in a few of them, but I'm not going to put big money on it. I did one a couple weeks back where I took all 0.5s. I think I ended up winning like $400 on it. So, I mean, it does work out more times than not. Joe Burrow at 20.5. I don't mind Joe Burrow at 20.5. Honestly, this guy's playing out of his mind right now. I mean, look what he's done against some of these defenses. These are not just cakewalks. I mean, obviously Tampa Bay was banged up defensive-wise. Put up 25. New England, 25. Baltimore, only 12.6 and then 21.6 against Buffalo. 20.7 in the snow and cold of Buffalo. This is definitely an attainable number, but it's also a very high number, right? We're not trying to put something out there that is like unattainable. Obviously, he can hit 20.5, but that's going to take a great game. And at this point of the playoffs where anything can happen, I probably don't touch Burrow there. I'm not touching Mahomes. I don't want to risk it. If anything, and this may sound super crazy, am I going to say this on the internet right now? Mahomes is higher than Burrow. If anything, I would almost think about taking the under on Patrick Mahomes in a few prize picks just to say, hey, if he doesn't finish the game 100%, if he has to leave in the third quarter because he gets hurt, if he struggles, if he's throwing interceptions, I contemplate the under. Remember, 4 points per touchdown pass, not 6, so it's a little bit harder to get there. Joe Mixon at 15. He's hit that number in 3 of the last 4 games. Not getting consistent pass catching work with Pristine like we saw last week, so he would definitely need to find the end zone in order to have a chance. I mean, if you think about it, what? A touchdown, we need 9 points. Maybe he gets 2 receptions, so now we're at 7. Can he get 70 yards and a touchdown? Maybe a little bit high for me. Isaiah Pacheco at 10. He's eclipsed this number in 3 straight, hit it at least in 4 straight, and barely missed it in his 5th one by 9.7. 10 points for a fantasy score. He's not going to get a whole lot of opportunity in the pass catching game. But I don't know if he finds the end zone either. And I don't think he's a 100-yard rusher. And since we can't really count on the pass catching game, I will probably stay away from Pacheco. For the most part, if I had to lean one way or another, it would be the over. Jamar Chase at 18, a little bit too high. Wouldn't be surprised if T. Higgins is the guy this week, since most people have kind of come off that bandwagon. Kelsey at 17.5. Dude scored 35.8 last week. For sure going to be a part. I mean, heck, he could get 10 receptions and only need still 75 yards. 10 for 75 is not, actually 76 to get the over. That's not out of this world, right? Is it a safe bet? I don't know if I'd say it's safe, but I could see the over happening there. T. Higgins at 12.5. Like I said, we ain't touching the Cincinnati receivers for the most part. You can go any single way. MVS at 5.5. Sure, he's hit that in back-to-back games. Yeah, really, that's just like one catch maybe from him. A 45-yard catch, 46-yard catch, and he's good to go. I mean, that's kind of all he really gets, but he just drops too many damn passes. Hayden Hurst at 8.5. I don't mind. I don't mind it. I don't love it. But you think about it, the way he's been, and let me pull up his stats here. Hang on. He's had at least 5 targets in 3 straight games. He's had at least 4 catches in 3 straight games. He's averaging right around 9 yards a catch or so. So 9 times 4, it's 36. 436, so he would be just under it, right? 36 yards. 36 yards on 4 catches is only going to give him 7.5. He'd be just under. He would definitely need a little bit more yardage because I don't think he sees more catches. So I'd probably stay away from Hayden Hurst. Jerick McKinnon at 11. This is, like I said, that gut feeling that they have to use him. I think that he could eclipse 11, but I'm not going to bet on it here. All right, rushing, receiving yards. Oops, Christian McCaffrey. We talked about him earlier. 100 seems a little bit high. But go ahead and begin with the live stream. I feel like I've been live forever. I've been live for an hour already. We got to fly. I still got videos to make for tomorrow. 99.5, a little bit high in this game going against Philadelphia for Christian McCaffrey. Miles Sanders at 65.5 combined yards. I like it a little bit more that it's combined, but when you see the guys had -6 yards over the last 5 weeks, going to pass. 19.5 for Kenneth Gainwell. I think that he could eclipse, but I'm sticking with that one single receiving prop. Joe Mixon, 83.5, too high for me, being that P-Ryan's getting the targets. Basically, Buck, I feel like it. McKinnon, 58.5. See, they're expecting something here. People are expecting something from McKinnon. And that's why we've hit some of the overs that we've already talked about with him, but I'm not going the combined yardage. Pacheco, 57.5. We mentioned him with the rushing already. Rushing, receiving combined. P-Ryan, nope, a number he's only hit once out of every 5. What do we got now? Pass and rush. These 3. Love the Mixon under. For the combined, I don't hate the under for sure. Brock Purdy, 228.5 pass rush. Dude is not going to run a whole lot. Hasn't hit it in 2 of his last 3 games. Jalen Hurts could definitely be helped by his legs, but he'd still have to throw for almost 250 or so to get there. Maybe a little bit too high for me. Joe Burrow, 294.5. I don't think he needs to throw for that many yards. this week, and I don't know if he's going to have to rush that much either. I think, if anything, the bulk of his production is going to be touchdown-based, so I'm not going to touch Burrow here. Plus, we're doing the free square with Burrow. Don't forget, if you're just tuning in, there is a free square with Joe Burrow. Don't make any other props in the same thing as Joe Burrow, because if he throws for 1 yard, you win. Remember, it's right here. A half a yard. Oh, I guess I got to put it on the screen. It's right here. A half a yard. Joe Burrow. We're not taking any other Joe Burrow bets because that's a free one. All right, rush receiving touchdowns. Like I said earlier, if I'm doing this, I want guys that are on the same team, right? And right now, there is no guys that are on the same team. They're all one of each. A.J. Brown, Ayuk, Smith, Ayuk, Samuel and Goddard, if you're not feeling fancy. Debo, Mitchell, Kittle, Goddard. Honestly, I don't mind the tight ends. I think one of them scores this weekend, but it's more of a risk when you got guys from each team. I'm really trying to find guys that are on the same team. Like, I think we saw one last week, or we've seen in the past, like, Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs. That's just an example, right? George Kittle, a Debo Samuel, something like that. Those ones I like a lot more, because when that team scores, the chances of it being your guy are higher than having 2 guys on that team other than just one. Man, I wish they had one here with my gut picks of McKinnon and Tony. I may just have a little bit of fun and go with that one, but nothing with that. Receiving touchdowns. Kelsey as a receiving touchdown. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the guy this week that gets peppered with targets and has a way to find the end zone. I feel more comfortable with Kelsey than Chase, but honestly, Chase has just been so consistent as of late. When they get inside the 18, when they get inside the 15, Burrow's looking for Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase can just get open. It's what he does. He's probably the safer play, Jamar Chase, but I think Travis Kelce has a chance to score this weekend as well. Pass attempts, I don't touch in the playoffs. Everything changes in the playoffs. Really hard to bank on anything. Brock Purdy hasn't hit 31 other than one time so far. Jalen Hurts at 31.5. Defensive battle. We're not touching Joe Burrow because we got a free square, damn it. And Patrick Mahomes we're not worried about because of an injury. So we're not going to go too heavy on Mahomes. Completions. We already got those two. So for Purdy at 19.5, dude's only hit it one time. Jalen Hurts 20.5. I wouldn't be surprised if Jalen Hurts gets close to this in an over possibility. Being the fact that I could see a lot more little dump off passes than I could see deep down the field passes, which are incomplete. Interceptions, Burrow or Mahomes. Burrow hasn't thrown an interception now in 3 straight weeks. Mahomes has 1 over his last 5. I feel like Mahomes is going to be more susceptible to an interception in this game due to the fact of his ankle and the pressure, but not a safe bet either. Rush attempts, Jalen Hurts. They're just not running enough with Jalen Hurts here as of yet. This could be a game where they kind of have to. I'm not going to touch him. Miles Sanders, 13.5. You always smash the Burrow 0 INT. He doesn't disappoint. What up? The Doc is in the house. What's up, Doc? Doc, we've been live streaming for an hour and 8 minutes talking nothing but prize picks. It's going to be a great weekend. Miles Sanders here. So we have 13.5 rush attempts against San Francisco. I just don't see it. It's not going to be successful, and they're going to have to throw the ball down the field. Joe Mixon at 14.5. I could definitely see him getting this number. When we get to the playoffs, when we get to the cold weather, the 22 degrees, Joe Mixon running the football, controlling time of possession, keeping the ball away from the Chiefs' offense, I would contemplate the over on rush attempts for Joe Mixon. Like I said, if they're running the ball with any type of success, it just keeps the ball away from Kansas City, really gives them one less thing to worry about. Jerick McKinnon at 7. Not going to touch Jerick McKinnon in his rush attempts. We already talked about him and his pass catching. Pacheco, 11.5 rush attempts. He's hit this 3 of the last 5 weeks. The other 2 weeks missed it by 1 and 2 carries. Actually, 3 and 2 carries. So I don't know. I could definitely see them wanting to run the football, but wanting to do something and actually doing something is 2 different things. If they could barely eclipse 12 against Jacksonville, Are they going to try to do it against Cincinnati as well if they're going to include Jerick McKinnon like we think? I don't think so. I'm going to avoid Isaiah Pacheco there as well. Targets are another one of those things that are super hard to nail down. I'm always looking for the 0.5s, and I'm always looking for lower numbers. 4.5 for Tyler Boyd. Dude has struggled to hit that. If anything, for targets, I more times than not will take the under on targets. Deebo Samuel at 8.5, so he would need 9 targets. Something he's done 2 out of the last 5 weeks. Devontae Smith would need 10 targets. George Kittle would need 7. Dallas Goedert would need 7. That's a lot for Dallas Goedert. That's not a number he sees very often. Jamar Chase would need 11. Kelsey 11. Higgins would need 8. Juju would need 6. Juju hasn't had 6 targets in a game since December 18th. Juju's under I don't hate whatsoever. Being that we're talking about McKinnon and Tony being involved, Juju could be somebody I could see under the 6 targets. Tyler Boyd at 4.5. McKinnon at 5 targets. Hayden Hurst at 6. That's a little bit too high for me for Hayden Hurst. Tackles and sacks. Let me just see if we scroll through here for the tackles. I'm looking for guys that, a lot of times though, they really have these lines set higher when it comes to tackles. For the guys that you can kind of somewhat bank on, right? Dre Greenlaw, he would need 10. Fred Warner would need 9. These are some big numbers. Honestly, Hassan Reddick at 4. I don't hate Hassan Reddick at 4. Let me see here. Let me see what he's done here as of late. Hassan Reddick. 4 seems a little bit lowish for me. He's had at least 4 tackles in 4 of his last 5 games played. At least 4 tackles in 4 of his. He's not getting big numbers, but he's always involved. So yeah, I don't mind the over on Hassan Reddick at 4. Hufunga? I like Taloa Hufunga. Let me see what. Talanoa Hufanga, right? Hufang. I'm just gonna give up. He has had at least 5 tackles. What's he set at? So he needs 6. He hasn't had 6 combined tackles in a game over the last 3 weeks. Prior to that, he was in the 8, 9, 5, and 5. So needing 6, probably going to stay a little bit too high. Cam Taylor-Britt, Jermaine Pratt, L'Jarius Sneed, Juan Thornhill. Some of these are just a little bit too high. Damn, Nick Bolton at 11.5. He racks up tackles, but I don't know if I can't count on him getting 12. He's only had 12 in a game one time since December 4th. That's a lot. I may contemplate the under on Nick Bolton. Under 11.5. And then sacks. 49ers. Remember, what I'm looking for here is offensive line play for the most part, right? And mobility. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes. I like the Bengals sack total at 2. They would need 3 sacks if Mahomes isn't as mobile and escapable as he normally is. I could see this one happening here. I mean, heck, Nick Bosa could get 3 by himself. I mean, I'm contemplating right here the 49ers and the Bengals if I'm going to go anywhere with sacks. All right, we've made it all the way through all the picks. That was a lot of freaking picks. That's like the most prize picks I've talked about in a long time. What do you guys think? Let me go back to the chat here for a few minutes. What are you guys thinking about everything we just went through? You liking it? You not liking it? Who's going to be putting some prize picks in this weekend? No, Google. I don't want an ad. This is Prize Picks, Christian. It's right there on the bottom of the screen. There's actually a link in the description as well. Just use the referral code Headliners when you sign up. We'll match your deposit up to $100. And we just spent over an hour going through every pick on the NFL slate for the most part. I missed half, but besides Joe Burrow, what was your favorite pick? I don't know if I have a favorite, Anthony. I mean, I like the Kenneth Gainwell one. Right? Where was Kenneth Gainwell over 6.5 receiving yards? That one I liked. The hard part is at this point of the year, there's no such thing as an absolute lock, right? It's just not. I'm going through them here again just to make sure. I wish you could play in Hawaii too, Nevermore. Trust me, we wish everybody would have the opportunity to play it. Rush attempts. I know I had Mixon over on rush attempts. Targets we didn't really touch a whole lot on. The under 11.5 tackles for Nick Bolton. I'm not going to say there's a lot of like locks, right? And this is where you kind of have to be a little bit careful in Prize Picks. What I normally do, what I typically do, where I have found the most success this year, is when I put together a set of picks all in the same game. I will have all my picks for the San Francisco Eagles pick in the same one, because I feel mentally, if I look at it as a per game basis, I can try to figure out what that game plan is going to be, how the game could go, and build my picks around that, instead of just picking random picks in different games, because then all of a sudden, like, I need a lot to happen in 4 different games other than just trying to nail the one game correctly. I don't know if a lot of people do that or not, but that's almost how I do all of mine. Every big win that I had in Prize Picks this year, I did it that exact same way. I will have it broken down into games. So I'm going to have my set of picks from the AFC game, and I'll have my set of picks from the NFC game this week. They're not going to be mixed and matched together. That's just how I've always done things, and that's where, like I said, that may not be the smartest way, but that's where I've found the most success, because I'm very analytical, and I feel like I can stare at a matchup and kind of see which way it could go, and I just make my picks that way. Mahomes under 270.5. If he's limited, I 100% agree. But I can also see where he could, if they have to gut it out and they're trailing, he has to throw all 4 quarters. Like, that's where I'm a little bit worried about that. I kind of think the Robbie Gould over 1.5 field goals is pretty good. They've had to rely on the kicking game there. The last couple weeks, he's had 4 in each of his last 2 games. I'm trying to find lower totals is what I'm doing. If I have a free square win, I'm trying to find those lower totals because they're easier to achieve than the bigger numbers. A lot of people will go out there and they'll make big, huge bets trying to, like, you know, I'm not that type of guy. I'm just not. I'm going to slow and steady wins the race. And, I mean, I'm not going to change how I've done it from the beginning, right? So, I'm not going to sit here and lie to people and be like, I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars off of Prize Picks. I've made $5,178 off of Prize Picks this year. Just going at it this way. What's going on, Jeremy? Has the line moved? I don't know. Let me look. For which game did you ask? The Bengals? What the heck? Let's see here. The Bengals game. Yep, now it's just Chiefs -1. So it's starting to move again. It's getting so close to pick them. Yep, that's right, Buck. Pick your spots and slowly build. I'll do a six player pick every single week and just try to capitalize off it, but I'm only going to put 20, $30 or something on it. I'm not out there bidding crazy money. Oh, I'm not complaining about $5,000 whatsoever, Timo. I'm not complaining, but I think a lot of people try to lure people in and blindly lie to people by, oh, I've won this $100,000 tournament. Well, yeah, but you paid in like a crazy amount of money and you made 500 lineups with things. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times it's just not very transparent. And I'm not sitting here trying to act like, you know, I'm the Lord's gift to player props. I just look at things from a fantasy football analytical perspective and see what hits. Let's see here. One of the best today. What is that, Bishun? Listen to me. I won $17 billion. That's right. That's right, Buck. An extra $5,000 is cool. It all goes right back into the company. That's how we do things, right? I don't transfer it to my own personal account. Did that just happen, Kalafa, or are you messing with me? Are you messing with me? Oh, you're not. It just did come through 19 minutes ago. The Panthers are hiring Frank Reich as their head coach. I'm not a Panthers fan, so I really don't care. But, yeah, whatever. I'm not overly excited. Like I said, though, I don't have a dog in that fight. I'm not a Panthers fan, but still. Breaking news. I would need something a little bit bigger for breaking news than that. For sure. All right, let's see here. That's a great question. But you know what I don't understand about the NFL? And this is like way off topic, but since we've been talking player props for over an hour. Why do NFL coaches just get recycled? It's like you get fired from somewhere, but don't worry, you're going to have a job somewhere else. It's like, I don't understand why it just seemed like Nathaniel Hackett, right? Going to the Jets. And some people are happy, some people are pissed off. Me, personally, not huge on Nathaniel Hackett. A lot of people come back and say, oh, well, he led the Jacksonville Jaguars to this, and he was the OC for Aaron Rodgers going back-to-back MVPs. Okay, but for like the other 5 out of the 8 years that he was an offensive coordinator, he was outside of the top half of offenses. I mean, you really think that he made Aaron Rodgers? No, Aaron Rodgers was good before Nathaniel Hackett. If anything, Aaron Rodgers made Nathaniel Hackett a name. And now all of a sudden he's getting to another. He goes there as an absolute dumpster fire as a head coach, which I get it. Sometimes OCs are not head coaches, for sure. But it's like they just get recycled, and I don't understand why. Let's see here. Jeremy, I didn't get into it last year because the picks you guys said would change. Can we do prize? Well, the reason they change is it's just like a betting line, right? So when we drop them on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, by the time the weekend gets there, they're gone. So they're active at the time that the video comes out. And that's why when you watch the videos throughout the week, the bets are best to be made at that point, not later on. Can we include them in the Saturday or Sunday live streams? We can, but like look how long that just took to go through that. That's an hour and a half to go through all of those. And on top of the 15 videos we already do, I don't know if we can go into that amount of detail every single week. Am I going to the Super Bowl since it's Bayou? I'm in North Carolina. So it's in Arizona. It's in my hometown state, but I will not be there. I will actually be getting back from vacation on the day of the Super Bowl. Should be constant new blood to discover the next Belichick. Exactly. That's why I don't understand. As many good coaches are out there, why do we constantly recycle the same ones? I don't understand it. High five, Ray. It's a cult. I don't know. It's just weird. Like, I don't understand why. Your wife's trying to get tickets if the Niners go. I would love to go. Don't get me wrong. I would be like all over that. I'm going to Arizona in March. So I couldn't like go on vacation and then fly immediately to Arizona and then come back and then go to Arizona again in a month. Kyle and I are already supposed to be going to Illinois in a couple weeks. We're probably going to be at the draft, I think, in Kansas City in April. I mean, it just didn't work out this time. She had some connections there. That's what I like to hear. 66 likes smashed. Also, we have to agree here. Kyle may have the nicest calves, but you have the biggest of everything else. As much as I don't want to concede the calf argument, because I do believe the camera does not do my calves justice. I will accept the fact and give Kyle the calves if it means that everything else that I have is bigger. Just saying. What up, Phil? What are we having for lunch today, Phil? Anything good? Buck, just let it go. Don't think too hard about it. It gets nasty if you start thinking about it. The Kelsey Bowl, it would be fun to see, for sure. Anybody listen to their podcast? What is it? Something Heights, New Heights, something like that? Oh, you got a little bit of Taco Bell, huh? Don't trust those post-Taco Bell farts. They're a killer. You bought a signed helmet of Michael Vick, and you're not a fan, but it was just a great price. I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You damn right, Kalafa. Kyle's got calves, but Jake throws the ball farther. I was going to do like a football trick shot video, but I think I'm too old for that. Yeah, for sure be pumped, Ray. 100%. Oh. How many are here? 56 people. Only 56 people here, but have all 56 of you gone, and don't do it now if you haven't, because then I'll have nobody here. I'll be talking to myself. Have you gone to the 49ers and Eagles matchup game and left a comment on the video? Because I'm giving away a signed Jalen Hurts jersey. Did you all get in on that? Don't miss out on that. Oh, it's over there. I have a signed Jalen Hurts jersey. We're giving it away. I announced it in the video yesterday. It's the 49ers Eagles video. You got to make sure you go hit the like button, leave a comment so you're entered into that giveaway. I got more things to give away too. I got something Kalafa may be interested in over there. I think in tomorrow's video, I'm going to announce a giveaway for a signed mini helmet of Dalvin Cook. The Salute to Service helmet styles, the mini ones. Yeah, make sure you get in on that, Lorenzo. We're trying to keep these signups going through Prize Picks and Pristine Auction, right? Because Pristine Auction is going to keep sending us things. I know I say this whenever we talk about it. Pristine Auction doesn't pay us anything. I don't make $1 off of Pristine Auction. I want signups, and then for signups they send us free things to give away. So that's the whole reason behind it. Oh yeah, Timo, you did win a Fields jersey a while back? Yeah, make sure you get in on that. Well, we lost 6 viewers, so they probably wouldn't watch the video to leave a comment. Is that from your office? I mean, it's over there in the corner, so technically it's in my office. The stuff that you see behind me is all stuff that I have purchased myself. And then I have an entire corner of my office over there and a few sitting over here of things that Pristine Auction sends me to give away. Yep, Buck got a signed Kamara jersey. Everybody likes the giveaways for sure. They're fun. They're fun to do. What's my favorite thing in my office? Ray, didn't you win like a CEH jersey or something a long time ago? Am I remembering that right? My favorite thing in my office, though? It's a great question. The signed Barry Sanders pylon is pretty cool. I have a full-size Nick Chubb frame jersey, is pretty cool. Do you guys remember when we hit the 1,000 members, we gave away the full-size Jamar Chase frame jersey? I had to call Pristine Auction and be like, listen, I want one of these. Do you have any more of them? So I ended up buying one for like $400. So I have one of those too. That's a good thing right there. The YouTube, our YouTube plaque and my, where am I at here? No, over here. That, and then our award from Pristine Auction, Influencer of the Year. I mean, that was pretty cool. Those are probably two of my favorite things for sure. Yeah, my wife is like, your office is too full of things. I'm like, it is never too full of things. I always have room for more. Back in the day, dude, Ray, I'm like an elephant, okay? I never forget. Except I do forget a lot. All right, a few more minutes, and I'm going to get out of here for the day so I can go record videos. Yeah, the Kittle ball, I want to say was like somewhere mid-season was mentioned as a giveaway. What are the chances of having two Lorenzos live watching this? I know, right? Can you tell us about your wife's YouTube chant? Her YouTube chant? What's her YouTube chant? I don't think she chants anything. Any memorabilia I'm looking to pick up for myself? Not really. I mean, nothing like in particular. Channel. It was doing great, but they haven't done it in a while. So, it's just sitting there for right now. It's TBD at the time. Part of the problem, I guess, is my fault, right? I need to accept responsibility because I'm the one that edits the videos, and I'm so busy doing all this stuff, I don't have time to edit the videos. So, I guess I've learned that it's my fault. I will accept responsibility. I need a bigger office. I ain't got a bigger room in my house, Anthony. I've already taken up all the real estate in my house that I can get. Cards, right? That's what I've been buying, a lot of cards. They do a channel. Well, it was my wife and my daughter. They did audiobooks for kids. They read kids' books aloud for kids. And that was the name of it, audiobooks for kids. Like, I just got this in the mail yesterday. I got a George Pickens. It's nothing special, but I like to pick up rookie cards of all the new rookies every year and go back and try to get some of the better ones from years past. Dominic, just wanted to say thanks again for this year. Didn't win the ship, but got damn close. Thanks for all the work you got. Hey, I appreciate it. This is our year, though, right? This year you're going to get it, for sure. You better believe it, Terry. I'm sure trying to, Bishan. Eyes on the prize. Both Lorenzos realizing that they're in here together. Do you think Aaron Rodgers stays? I mean, I feel like I've had to try to think about this for like 8 years in a row now. I don't see why he leaves. Let me put it that way. Is he go to the Jets? Like, why? Like, what are you going to do when you go to the Jets? What are you going to accomplish? I just see it being more of an issue than anything else. I just wish it wasn't like something we had to talk about every offseason. You want a Jacoby Myers jersey from the Patriots? Let's see. Jacoby Myers. Dude, go on Pristine Auction right now. If you don't have an account, sign up for one. Use referral code Headliners. They'll get you a $10 off coupon. And there's a Jacoby Myers autographed Patriots jersey that's being auctioned off today. And the current bid is only $37. So yeah, go get in on that. Can I bring this over here? I don't know if this will work or not. Let's do screen share. Yeah, here it is. So let me transition here. Bam, there it is right here. Jacoby Myers, signed jersey. Current bid, $36. And then you'll get a $10 off coupon. Rodgers to the Raiders. I could see that and going with Devontae Adams, but does it make them Super Bowl contenders? Like, I don't think so. Like, why go anywhere that you're not going to be a contender to win? That's my biggest issue. Awesome, Tam. Appreciate you. Look at Lorenzo's. Lorenzo's in here just making friends with other Lorenzos. That doesn't happen very often on the internet. For sure, Zachary. Just head over there. Super cheap. A Josh Allen signed jersey giveaway. I mean, let me put it this way. Everybody pay attention for a second. We've had high dollar giveaways a lot from high valued players, right? Pristine is not against sending us anything from anyone, but it's all based on the amount of signups that we're sending to their site. So if we're sending people to their site and they get 10 signups, they can't send us a $1,000 item. If we're going there and we're getting 500 signups, all of a sudden they're like, well, let's just send something a little bit better. So that's why we try to push these signups so much. Like I said, we don't make anything off of Pristine Auction. We don't make $1. They don't send me a check. I don't get anything from Pristine Auction other than the items that they send to us that we turn around and give away. So that's why we push the signups so much, is because we're trying to get all that stuff for you guys to give it to you. That's what we try to do. Yeah, Buck, we do need another Buck to wrap with, huh? The Debo helmet, right? We gave away a Debo. We gave away a signed Joe Burrow helmet. A Justin Herbert full-size helmet. I mean, countless jerseys, Lamar Jackson's and all kinds of stuff. Got the Jalen Hurts over there right now. We did Mike Evans cleats. We did all kinds of things this year. Rodgers is all about MVP, which, I mean, I could get the whole personal achievements, but I don't even know if he achieves that with the Jets or the Raiders. Buck, that's all signed through February. After the season officially ends and the Super Bowl is, and then we go from there. I can't speak too much on that, if you know what I mean. Let's see here. Looking for an OBJ jersey. I'm a huge OBJ fan. Dude, Ray, literally, was it 2 live streams ago? Kyle did a live stream. It's like 2 weeks ago. I don't remember what it was. I literally just shipped out last week. It was a signed OBJ Rams helmet, signed Super Bowl champs. I just sent that out like 2 weeks ago, or last week. Gave it away 2 weeks ago. My sign up and what I spent in the last 6 months should cover you. You'd be surprised. Heck, the amount of money I've spent on there is, I mean, it's behind me. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it was pretty sweet, Ray. There's a Rams helmet inscribed. I like the inscribed stuff too. It makes it more personalized. Like the Jalen Hurts jersey that I have over there, it's signed Jalen Hurts, Fly, Eagles, Fly. Like, I think that's kind of cool when it includes stuff like that. Jeremy Dunn being a Cowboys fan. Come be a Cardinals fan with me, Jeremy. It's a lot better. Yeah, he did it, and the guy had his choice. I don't remember what it was. I think it was a choice of the OBJ helmet or a Mixon jersey. I think is what it was a couple weeks ago. He chose the helmet. I know, Jeremy. Trust me, I'm not excited about it either. Yeah, the Mike Evans cleats were sweet. Yeah, we've given away all kinds of stuff. So much stuff. Dude, if you guys haven't scrolled through Pristine Auction and just looked at what they had, crazy. Did you guys see the The tour, when me and Kyle toured through Pristine Auction. Did you watch that video last year? I mean, just walking through that place was nuts. Lorenzo, yeah, we don't even say that name around here. I confronted that dude face to face and never seen somebody cower so damn fast in my life. Yeah, that walking around Pristine Auction for an hour or so, that was sweet. I'll probably go there again in March when I'm there. I mean, we're talking, it looks like Home Depot of signed merchandise in there. They would have like entire rows stacked to the ceiling almost of just nothing but full-size signed helmets. Crazy. They're in Phoenix. So that's why it's easy for me to go back there when I go visit family. I go hang out with the guys at Pristine Auction for a day. Typically when I go to Phoenix, it's hang out with Pristine Auction, and I've had lunch with the footballers before. Andy and Mike. Jason's never been available at the time, but Andy I talked to the most, probably. Yeah, it was fun to go do. What's everybody doing the rest of the day? Are you up for 80 for Brady? I don't think I'm going to go see that, Mr. Mikey Riggs. I'm a Packers fan. I can't wait to get rid of Rodgers. Haven't been to Phoenix in a hot minute, though. It's dope. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for the family and the food, I would never go back. But all of our family from both sides are there. And I miss the Mexican food. Tacos. Watching movies. Yeah, after I record, I may go upstairs, go into the movie room, recline back, watch some TV. But first, I have to record a video. Tomorrow's video is going to be big play running backs, talking about guys who run for over 20 yards, big plays. That'll be fun to talk about for a few minutes. You're watching your 4-year-old twins while your wife's working. Then I broadcast junior hockey. That's pretty sweet. Anthony has no luck. He never wins. You have luck. If it wasn't for bad luck, you'd have no luck at all, Anthony. Got to get your tire fixed. Have a nail in it. That blows, Jeremy. Horrible. Goes at a discount forever. You should give away Patriots tickets. If I had Patriots tickets, I would give them away. I don't have any. You're still at work? That's okay. So am I. I'm at work too. Kyle's on an airplane, I think. Yeah, I know, Deshaun, that sucks. Kyle's in Indiana. So, I mean, we have to deal with that all the time. He can open it up and look at it. He just can't place any bets unless he's at my house. Give away Vikes tickets. They're probably dirt cheap right now. You know what I would love to do? I would love to travel around and go to different stadiums and tailgate beforehand and do like meetups in the parking lots of the tailgates of different stadiums. Like, that's what I would like to do. No, I'm from Arizona, but I live in North Carolina. And a VPN doesn't work. Yeah, no, I don't live in Arizona. We moved to North Carolina like 12 years ago. 11 years ago. Taking the daughter to karate. Perfect. We don't have any soccer tonight. Perfect. Night home. All right. 5 more minutes and I'm going to get out of here. Since we're kind of just like chilling anyway. You should do a meetup at sorority house. Yeah, I don't know if that would fly. Why did I leave Arizona? I was offered a job in North Carolina. I was an engineer for American Express at their main data center. And I moved out here for that job. And then I ended up quitting it to do this full time. And I'm not moving back to Arizona because I love North Carolina. How cold is it? I mean, it can get cold out here, but it doesn't stay cold. It's 50 degrees right now, but I mean, it rains a lot more than what I was used to in Arizona, obviously. This has probably been our warmest winter we've had in quite a while. But, I mean, sure, you'll have your cold days, but the saying in North Carolina is if you don't like the weather, wait an hour, it's going to change. So, it changes. It's not like horrible. If it snows, it's maybe 2 or 3 times a year, and it's probably never more than 6 to 8 inches and is gone in a couple days. You know what I mean? So, it's nothing crazy like that. I like being 2.5 hours from the Smoky Mountains, 2.5 hours from the beach. I mean, small little town. I like where we're at. Yeah, you do need to thaw out from the Northeast. You're from Virginia? Yeah, Virginia's probably similar to where we are. I love it here. I love the small town feel. I used to work like 12 miles away from my house in 12 miles, from my house in Arizona, and it would take me like 45 minutes to an hour to get there every day. Like, I was sick of traffic. I was sick of every time you go out to eat, it's like an hour wait everywhere. It's just the heat. The year that we moved, it had been over 110 degrees for 45 straight days, and I'm like, I'm just done. Like, I'm just ready. I'm ready for something else. Raised in Texas. Texas probably a lot like Arizona. Walter John, dude, you missed it, Walter John. You're gonna have to go back at some time. We talked prize picks for a good hour and 15 minutes, and we went through every damn pick on the slate for this weekend. It was a straight banger. Googling NC towns to move to. Some good tailgates. I mean, I'm down for it. Cooking eggs on the sidewalk. No lie here, Deshaun. When I worked in Arizona, I did construction at some point, and on the job sites, we could just, like, if we had like lunch that needed to be warmed up, you would just go out to our car, and I would open it up and I would put it on the hood of my car for 15 minutes or so, and whatever it is I wanted to eat would be hot. Didn't even need a microwave. But yes, you could cook eggs on the sidewalk. No joke, middle of summer. Do you go to any Duke games? I've been to a Duke Carolina game, but it was in Carolina. It wasn't at Duke. I've never been to Cameron. It's hard to get tickets to Cameron Indoor. Like, it's just not a very big place. And being that I'm not a huge fan, like, I'm not about to pay some crazy money just to go in there. That's what's crazy. Me and my son go to a different football stadium every single year. We go travel somewhere and we'll go to a different stadium. We've never even been to a Panthers game. We're traveling everywhere other than the Panthers because we want to go see better teams. What made you get into fantasy football? And by the way, do you think the Ravens re-signed Lamar Jackson to a long-term extension? Blair. What made me get into it? I started fantasy football in the year 2000. Just as I was graduating high school, me and a buddy got into it, and I've been doing it ever since. Used to do fantasy baseball all the time, but there's no way I could do that now. It's just too much work. I haven't watched baseball in years. The Ravens, do they sign him to a long-term extension? Yes, I think they do. But I won't be surprised if he's tagged first. Darth giving another membership to Dominic Diggler, getting that membership. You going for 2 today, huh, Desmond? You gonna get going 2? You're up in the streak here. You're in Tucson, Landis, dude. I know. Are there Filibertos out there? I think there. I know we talk about Filibertos all the time. I'm ready for some Filibertos. Oh, that's for the homies who stuck around. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, there's only 51 of us now. Has everybody hit the like button at least? Have you been to Patriots Place? No. We the diehard Dallas fans, huh? Yep, that's for sure. NFL Europe coming soon. 4 countries. Yep. Ray, you should go to the Dallas card show in March. You don't miss the winters, for sure. All right. Oh, man, Filibertos. Dude, an Arizona burrito with extra cheese. Dude, some of that red salsa. I am down right now. So down. Yeah, we have my wife got me and my son this huge like framed picture, and it has like all the stadiums on it, and like a picture of the country, and then all the stadiums, and then we take a picture at each stadium, and we're trying to fill it up. I'll be like 70 by the time we fill it up. So if I'm still alive, we'll get them all. We're going to try to double up here some of these times. Like if we can catch like a Giants-Jets weekend where we can get 2 games in one weekend. Otherwise, I don't know if I'll make it to all of them before I... Y'all going to make me be bald and gray and decrepit by the time I'm 50. Look at that. Dominic out there thanking Darth. That's what I like to see. The people in the community are happy to be with each other. That's what I'm talking about. I haven't been to a lot of stadiums. We've only been to... we didn't start doing it until he was old enough to kind of understand it. So we've been to Atlanta. We've been to Cincinnati. We've been to Washington. We've been to Tampa Bay. He's been to an Arizona Cardinals game, and so have I, but we haven't been together. He went with his grandpa out there one time when I wasn't with them. So he's been to a game, but we haven't been to it together, so we don't count that one. So there's 4 stadiums, one over the last each of the 4 years. Next year, I don't know for sure where we go next year. I know we'll talk about Nashville, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh. Like those are like the 4 probably that are up next that we kind of figure out. But cool. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. It's been almost 2 hours. I was only going to stay for an hour, but I like hanging out and talking with you guys. But I got to go do some work. I got to go film a video. Otherwise, there's nothing coming out tomorrow, and people are going to start asking questions. So I got to go do that. But it was fun. It was real, and it was real fun. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here for the day. Hey, hopefully you guys enjoyed going through all the prize picks. I'm hoping some of those picks we talked about turn into big-time winners for you. If you enjoyed it, like I said, do me a favor, hit that like button before you leave. It greatly helps us out here, especially in the off season when not a whole lot is going on. I'm about to go drop the short pretty soon with Dog vs. Doctor, because that's getting dangerously close as the Super Bowl gets closer. So make sure you check that out as soon as it drops as well. Hopefully you guys, though, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend. Looking forward to some football here this weekend. I'm sure we'll be talking to a lot of you in Discord. If you haven't become a member yet, consider becoming a member because Discord doesn't stop, right? We continue to be active in there all year long. So looking forward to hanging out with you guys there as well. But for now, I'm going to get out of here for the day. Have a great rest of your day, a great weekend. We'll talk to you later.